Hey everyone, today we're going to break down a skill that is absolutely essential in today's world: how to think like a researcher. And look, this isn't just for students in a classroom. This is for any of us who want to cut through all the noise out there and find some real answers. So let's just dive right in.
I mean, think about it. We are living in a world that is just overflowing with articles and videos and opinions. It's a lot. So this is the big challenge, right? How do we give not just students, but really ourselves, the tools to navigate this digital ocean and figure out what's real and what's not?
The answer isn't about memorizing a ton of facts. The real starting point for any kind of discovery is actually learning how to ask better questions. It's about moving beyond a simple what and getting to the much more powerful how and why.
So, here's our game plan for this. First, we're going to talk about igniting that initial spark of curiosity. Then, we'll put on our detective hats and learn how to hunt for sources you can actually trust. After that, we'll see how to connect the dots and see the bigger picture. And finally, we'll put it all together to become a genuine critical thinker.
Okay, so let's get into that first crucial step: asking smarter questions. This is basically the engine for all research, because really, any investigation is only ever going to be as good as the question that kicked it off in the first place. Just look at the difference here. A closed question like, when was the moon landing? Well, it has one simple answer, 1969. And then the conversation just stops. But an open-ended question like, why was the moon landing so important? Wow, that unlocks a whole universe of things to explore: politics, technology, human ambition, you name it.
And that is the key difference, right there. See, open-ended questions, they force us to go beyond just remembering something. They demand that we analyze and explain and think critically. And that, right there, is where real understanding actually begins.
So how do teachers actually get students to this point? Well, it's a really clear three-step process. You kick things off with these simple curiosity starters. I wonder why, or how does that work? Then you just let the ideas fly. Brainstorm a huge list of questions about a big topic, like marine mammals. And finally, you take that big list and you whittle it down to specific, researchable questions you can actually investigate.
And just look at the kind of questions that come out of that process. These are amazing. They're specific, they're focused, and there's no way you can answer them with a simple yes or no. Every single one of these is a launchpad for a real investigation.
All right, so once you've got that really powerful question, the next challenge is finding reliable answers. It's time to become a source detective.
I mean, this is a question we all face every single day. We are just bombarded with information, and knowing who and what to trust, that is a critical skill for just getting by in the modern world.
The key concept here is credibility. A credible source is simply one you can trust to be accurate. Without credible sources, any conclusion you come up with is basically built on a foundation of sand, just waiting to crumble.
So how do you check for it? You use a simple but really powerful checklist. First, you investigate the author. Are they an expert in this field? Then check the date. Is this information still relevant? And finally, look at the website's domain. A university.edu, government.gov, or a nonprofit.org is usually a much safer bet.
And this isn't just taught through boring lectures. Educators actually make this really hands-on. They use activities like a source sorting game, where students work in groups to sort through real and fake sources. It's a fun, collaborative way to learn how to spot the red flags.
So you've got your great question and you've found your credible sources. What's next? Well, now it's time to actually gather that information and start connecting the dots. The goal here is basically to act like a filter. You're pulling in information from all these different credible sources: books, articles, websites, but you're only letting the most accurate and relevant facts get through, the ones that directly answer your specific question.
Now, to avoid that classic trap of just copying and pasting, where you end up with a bunch of facts you don't really understand, using structured tools is absolutely essential. A template like 2-column notes actually forces you to pull out only the key ideas that relate to your question. It keeps you focused. And this is where the magic happens. This is where your raw notes start to transform into real understanding. You're summarizing, you're connecting facts from different places to see a bigger picture, and you're even working with others to challenge your own thinking. It turns research from this quiet, lonely task into something active and dynamic. Okay, this brings us to our final section, which is really the ultimate goal of this entire framework, moving from a simple inquiry to genuine insight. And this, right here, is the ultimate payoff. It's not about just finishing an assignment. It's about a fundamental shift, a shift from just passively receiving information to actively building your own understanding of the world.
You know, this quote just perfectly sums up the whole journey we've been talking about. It shows how that little spark of curiosity at the beginning has to eventually connect to solid, fact-based explanations.
And it's important to remember, this isn't just a collection of nice ideas. This is a structured educational framework. This one is from the Georgia Department of Education, and it's specifically designed to build these essential skills for lifelong learning and success.
So, we'll end this by turning the question back over to you. After seeing how this whole process works, from sparking curiosity to finding credible answers, what are you wondering about? What's the next big open-ended question you want to go explore? Because that's where all great learning begins.